for living
Oh,
or travel.
there's a bug in here. Sorry.
Well, you're gonna have to burn everything down and start over.
Yep. Oh, here's a big ugly baby.
Get out, get out, get out, get out. Run, run, run.
You can't park here.
So what's going on with the Doberman?
So I text her back and I'm like sending her this picture of Sparrow playing in this beautiful fucking desert that I'm in. Like, girl, like, hold on, wait until I can get it. Oh, no, don't you do that. Cancel. Hold on. Let me try and switch this around so I can show you. Why is it doing that? Okay.
Ooh, it's windy.
Look at the view, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like what? It's just insane.
You're just such a yuppie. Beautiful. You're just such a yuppie van lifer.
I am. I'm such a bougie. Like, what am I doing? I just turned my volume down by accident. Okay. So I send her this picture of like Sparrow playing with these beautiful mountains in the background. I'll switch it around in a second. Hold on.
No, we're looking at some nice woodworking in the
you like that?
It is really nice.
And she texts me back immediately and is like, yeah, I rehomed him to someone nearby so I could still keep in touch with him. And I'm like, you're going to traumatize him.
What?
I'm like, you're going to fucking traumatize him. Like, by coming by to a new home, he's just going to keep thinking, like, I guess I'm going home with you now, and you're just going to keep traumatizing. And, like, she's a snot still.
So to give the backstory, this woman already had dogs, and then she adopted
two Great Danes, and I think another pet, and then this beautiful Doberman that she got off of Craigslist and tried to clip his ears and failed horribly. So they like droop weird now. Why would you ever do that? She sees this dog as a fashion accessory. That's all it is to her. That's it.
Oh, maybe because the ear clipping went wrong. She doesn't want it.
I don't know, but she said to me that she just had a baby and the baby is almost going to be a toddler, and she's worried about how the dog's going to be around the toddler. And I was like, has he shown any weird behaviors?
Why do people get new dogs or adopt dogs?
Guards. And I'm like, wait, does he get growly? Does he get mean? She's like, no, he just keeps the toys away from the other dogs. And I'm like, that's what they do. That's okay. So does he do that? Does he take the baby's toys? And she's like, oh no, he brings all of the toys to the baby. And I'm like, okay, so he worships that baby basically and would do anything to protect it because he's literally taking the resources and bringing them to the baby, thinking that that is more important than even himself. Do you not understand any animal behavior? Like, that's even human behavior. Like, anyway, I'm not here to shit on her, but she definitely treated this dog. And you could tell he was like so bonded to her and he just didn't understand what was going on. But the two of them, Sparrow and Tolkien, when they were playing at this park that we met at, you've seen Step Brothers, right?
We got bunk beds for more activities.
More activities! Well, they hated each other in the beginning, but like these guys did not hate each other. They literally were like, let's go make a rap story on my dad's yacht together. They were immedially like the dopiest.
Yeah, like goofy, like sweet and goofy.
Yeah, and she's just like, well, I don't know. I'll get in touch with you. And I'm like, yeah, let's do another meetup. Let's let him in the van. I'm a van lifer, but I'm not bougie enough for that. But I'm bougie enough for a dirty kid, apparently.
I'm
off this screen real quick.
Where do we fit in? If you talk to a dirty kid, we're not homeless, we're bougie, we're yuppies. But if you talk to maybe a upper middle class person in a nice neighborhood, then we're homeless scumbags. So perception is reality. Reality is perception, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this podcast started. F off. Welcome back to the second the second episode ever of The Knock. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm in my van today because doing it at the library just wasn't the vibe. It kind of felt like I was in community college again. So yeah.
Institutional recording with time constraints and everything and rules and all that.
Yeah, it was too much. It was too much. No, it's okay. Let's just be ourselves here. The only place we can be, apparently.
I know, because we don't fit in anywhere else. Some people think we're bougie and we're bag. We're bag people. Bag ladies.
We're always inside. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into the full thing today. You can check out my TikTok or Bunny's TikTok, but there's this creator online that I guess I didn't realize that she just literally lives like on the side of the road and just hitchhikes. So she was talking about me in a live stream and saying that I'm not really homeless, I'm yuppie, I'm bougie, she kept saying that she's always inside, she's always inside. And I didn't know she considers being in your van inside, which is kind of sad, honestly. Um, yeah,
That's weird.
it's just
That's
wild though. Well, she went
well,
off
why
on
doesn't she
Bunny,
come at Sailor about that then, or come at Rich about that?
right? Because she was supporting them. I don't
Yeah, she
know.
was like, "Oh, all you do is talk about Rich," but then she's like, "You're always inside your van," but that's all Rich ever is.
I don't know. I don't
That's
fully.
weird. It's a, you know what it is. It's hypocrisy. It's that bullshit that
Yeah,
she's
I don't know.
projecting. She's just trying to find stuff
Uh,
wrong.
if you want the backstory on that, you can go check out Drenched in Drama's podcast. Me and Bunny were on there talking about Rich and Sailor. They're two kind of sort of van life, but not really van lifers. They go to Slab City. They're more like dirty kid crust punk people that happen to have vans, but I've been doing a lot of journalistic endeavors about them. I'm just honestly fascinated. People think that this is hate fueled. I'm genuinely fascinated by parasocial relationships. I'm genuinely fascinated by people that blindly send people money on TikTok Live day in and day out when they're so clearly lying through their teeth, scamming, the stories never add up. Like it's just fascinating for me to watch all of it go down.
Yep. Yep, it's fascinating, all right. And it's amazing how we get sucked into it. And even if we don't begin defending ourselves, like it ends up like, I don't know why people tag us as like we're out to get people, because it all starts with trying to really help people and warn people and educate the community about these situations that they can possibly get wrapped up in, and how not to, and how to be careful, and like why some behavior as a van lifer is ruining it for us all.
Yeah.
So really it's outreach and community education, but they want to, it's almost like they like the segregation, like you're not, they're not like us. She kept repeating that. And I think the segregation part was like, you're segregating yourself. And you know, we've dealt with that in other circumstances as a society before. We all know about that. And doing that just keeps the problem going. And like, we don't have to all fit in the same box, but we all,
No.
I mean, I travel with people who have all kinds of different vehicles. One friend has a bus, the other one has a Transit Connect, and I have another friend with a Mercedes Sprinter van, you know, and then I have another one who's living out of a crappy one.
I have friends that come from money and have lovely homes and nice vehicles, and don't feel any type of way about that. They're very chill. They're not judgmental. They know we live in a van. They're like, yeah, whatever, do what you got to do. But like, I don't look at people that have more than me and I'm like, you're a yuppie. Like, it's more so about like, do you really have that judgment and classism in your heart? And is that what's really deep seated in you?
That's what it is. They've been judged so hard,
Yeah.
especially by a society that doesn't have a place for them, that sees them as an acceptable member of society.
There's a
and
place
it's
for
unfortunately
everybody.
like it's
They
a problem with society and not them. But they don't see it that way.
No, there's a place for them, and they. Here's the thing. I'm going to start making generalizations, and I don't want to, because I can only tell you the dirty kids that I have had to encounter online, and then the ones that I know from the festival realm. And like, it's literally this addict mentality of, let me just get through day by day, and there's no larger goals or ambitions. And there's a place for everybody. Like, what do you want out of your life?
Right.
I'm not like, I'm not going to say, yeah, it is hard for me to not judge someone that is on live stream in a bush next to the highway. She was missing on the live stream, clearly on something.
You've gotten shut down for that.
For what?
Didn't you get shut down for a live where you like went behind Andrew and like used the bathroom in your van, but you were completely covered? And like no one could hear you?
I've gotten my live stream taken down so many times. I can't even keep track. Couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
I couldn't even, but yes, I have peed in my camping toilet while we're live streaming off camera. For sure.
Off
for
camera.
Sure.
Right.
But but it's hard for me
acceptable.
to not have some type of judgment in the sense of like, what are you doing? Like, You don't have to live this way. You seem unhappy. You claim that this is a cool anarchist lifestyle and you're so proud of it, but you're constantly angry with other people and what they're doing with their life. And quite frankly, if you post things online, whether it's Rich, whether it's Sailor, whether it's Hell, whether it's whoever, if you choose to live stream and post things publicly, people are going to have public discourse about it and have opinions about it. People have opinions about me. Also, isn't that the point of social media? You want people talking about you?
Yeah, yep, exactly. You're here to express what point of view you're coming from. And sometimes that means you're going to have to defend it. Sometimes that means you're going to offend people.
Yeah.
But all you can do is just keep doing what you're doing. And if you believe that you're, not hurting anybody and not influencing anybody to do anything bad, then like keep doing what you're doing. But when you cross the line of that, like people don't like it. And you're going to have to deal with the responsibilities that come along with that. You're going to have to take accountability.
Bunny came onto my live stream last night. By the way, all of this is on TikTok. You can go to the dumpster fire that is that app if you want to see all of this nightmare shit show. For normal people watching that live in a house and you think what we're doing is like crazy and edgy, there are a group of people where if you looked at them, you'd be like, oh, they're just like homeless addicts. And like, I'm not trying to say that's what they are, but if you investigated it a little further, a lot of them generally are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah,
like, I'm not trying to be mean.
I know this because I was one. I can say that with full confidence. When I first met them, it was in slabs. It was never while it was like before that, while I was traveling solo in my vehicle. Like it was my first year traveling solo, and I didn't start meeting the dirty kids until I was in slabs. And there were they made up most of the population, if not all. And the people that got stuck in slabs were usually the dirty kids that ended up on meth. And when they asked for a ride into town, because I was going into town and I had a car, we would go into the big town that was nearby and do like a grocery haul and get gas and all these things. And they were like, oh, while you're in the grocery store, like give us your gas jug and just park your car at the gas station next to the grocery store. And I was like, okay, why? And they're like, well, we're going to get you some gas. And I was like, oh, awesome. Okay. And like I had camped with some of these kids. They were okay. They weren't like super horrendous. Not all dirty kids are totally horrendous. Like there's a few that, have some integrity, but for the most part, they get wrapped up in it too fast and they lose their integrity. But they did. They filled up my tank. And I was like, how did you guys do that? So when I came out of the grocery store and my tank was full, they're like, yeah. And they had all this cash on them, which they didn't have before. They only had food stamps. And they were going into the grocery store to get food stamps. And I was like, okay, cool. But, use their food stamps. But I was like, where'd you get this cash from? They were like, yeah, we got some, of these and like some of this. And I was like, well, where'd you get the money from? And they were like, oh, well, when we filled your gas tank, people gave us money too. And I was like, wait, what? Show me how this is done.
Yeah, it's magic. It's magic.
So yeah, they showed me how you can ask for like a squirt of gas or whatever. And like how they'll put it in your tank, or sometimes they'll ask you to pull the tank,
the gas jugging
up.
That's called gas jugging, people.
But they also had a cardboard sign, and I didn't know what the flying sign thing was. I didn't know what that meant. And so they started telling me all these things. And like, as I hung out with them more, I learned how to do it, and I did it too. I absolutely partook in it. So like, let's just clear the air. I've done this too. And I'm not going to like hide it, but this is why I can talk about it so confidently, because I know the stereotype and the patterns that these kids do as far as behavior. And they take that money and they go get top shelf liquor or festival tickets or D-rugs. And I mean like bad D-rugs. And then they get messed up in an alleyway.
And
they do all these things.
Bunny's coming from a place of experience. And I just want to be clear, because this always gets misconstrued. For me, it comes from the interactions that I've had, and I'm still on the search for a positive experience and a positive interview with a dirty kid. So if you're in the dirty kid community and you want to be on this podcast and you want to show me the good sides of it, I'm still trying to be open-minded, but so far, every dirty kid I've interacted with, it's been not great.
Many of the ones that have positive things to say nowadays that are former dirty kids, they're positive because they turned their life around, because they chose themselves over whatever the hell they were doing back then as dirty kids. I've seen accounts online where they're like, I used to be that person Same thing. Like I was doing that with my life. I was flying a sign and I don't miss any of it. I don't miss the fire ants, the sleeping in the
Well, that
gutters. I
was
don't miss
Cassandra. We need to have
being treated
Cassandra on
like shit.
here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to have
We need to have Cassandra on here for
Cassandra
sure.
from Drenched in Drama had a lot to say. That was the go check out Drenched in Drama podcast for sure, because
Yes.
her and Bunny were really, they educated me on that podcast, because like I got wrapped up in this community online, which is strange how things work now. But it sounds so immature to be like the van lifers versus the dirty kids, like it's West Side Story. But people really pit themselves against each other. And here's the thing I want to say. Someone that was a dirty kid in the 90s versus a dirty kid now, I don't know if a lot of the people in the slabs or travelers that are like more dirty kid style, I don't know if they're fully aware of how people are struggling in this current economy. You look at someone, you're like, that's a yuppie, you're a van lifer, you have a house. And I'm like, all of us are working and our dollar is starting to thin out. The economy's crumbling. A lot of us are never going to own homes. A lot of us are looking to van life not to be a tourist. I'm not trying to appear as a dirty kid or a crust punk or someone hardcore. My name is Kyla and I live in a van because I got priced out of housing and I don't want to be rent broke anymore. And I just like to go hiking and forage, man. Like
Right.
it's not that deep, I swear.
It's really not. And here's the thing, like, because when I was, classified as a dirty kid, I had dreads. I wore raggedy clothes. I was hitchhiking with my pack and my dog. And yeah, I was in my 30s doing this, late 30s even, and mid 30s. And I remember the way that I was treated when I looked like that by society was enough to be like, at some point I was like, I just can't do this anymore. And the day that I cut my dreads off, I went into this place, the same place that I've been going into for coffee all week and been getting followed and being treated like crap because I had dreads, even though my hair was in every which way direction, having just cut my dreads off. When I walked through that door, the woman at the door who had been following me all week said good morning and didn't even care what I was doing. And I was like, and of course I hadn't been stealing or anything. I went in there with money. I bought my coffee every morning. And I think it was for the week that I was in that area. And that morning when I came in without dreads, she did not recognize me. She treated me completely different. And I think something clicked in my mind at that point where I was like, okay, so this really is an image thing. And as I, progressed through my vehicles and through my different phases of nomadism, I really recognized that if I wanted to stay under the radar and out of the cops' eyes and out of society's negative viewpoints, I had to blend in with them. And that doesn't mean it's conforming. It means I found the loopholes within that system to survive it.
No, you're absolutely right. Like you should look however you want to look and you should never be judged for it. And I
Right.
completely like I never look at someone and I'm like, "Oh, they must be this way." But and I will say this is how I have mitigated a lot of issues with law enforcement or people complaining about me. The way that you carry yourself, the way that you
Yes.
look, and like I don't look that fancy right now. My nail polish is messed up, my lips are chapped, but what I'm saying is I keep my van clean, my dog is taken care of. Like I still look vaguely presentable. I shower.
But you still get harassed too. Like there's,
Yeah.
like we're on this like fine borderline, but like the more that we present ourselves as something that they think is acceptable, unfortunately, like we can protest and rebel and express ourselves as dirt junkies all we want, but it's not going to change things. If we start behaving the same way that we're behaving and appearing a different way that appeals to them, this world, we're humans are visual people. We're visual beings. And that's our first sense. So if they're going to judge us based on looks, get to
Well,
know us first and then realize that we're no different.
I understand what you're saying, but for me, the whole aesthetic for the dirty kids, it's almost like antagonistic. Like I think that's the point of it, and it just gives like middle school or high schooler that's like, I'm an anarchist now, and they wear the A on their little chain wallet, and then somebody's like, what's anarchy? And they're like, uh I'm an anarchist now. Like it just gives that vibe. Like if you really feel strongly about the current socio-political climate in our nation, or if you feel a certain way about capitalism, there are a heck of a lot of ways you can mitigate that and do like day-to-day small acts of activism without hurting and scamming other people. Because
Yeah.
by you being a scammer and by you like surviving off the backs of other hardworking people without any remorse for them,
You're part of the problem
you
and you're
are a
making it worse.
capitalist. You are
Yep.
a capitalist.
Yep. They have a really hard time accepting that. Like they think that they're really they're this countercultural lifestyle, like of train hoppers and like, you know, rainbow kids and like
And I do think the train hopping is cool. There is something very romantic about having nothing but your backpack and traveling the country. And I love that like old, but I feel like that's old school and that's not really the case anymore because the drugs have gotten out of fucking control. And
yeah.
I don't care where you live in America, you see that fentanyl is taking over. You see the pills are taking over. You see that like everyone's like a zombie now. And unfortunately, if you're in that counterculture, I don't it's dangerous to promote it because it's so much more dangerous now than it was back then, in my opinion.
It's so much more dangerous now. I don't even when fentanyl, yeah, that's the scariest thing in the world and it's in everything now and like they're just running around like it's nothing. The thing about that like rejection of mainstream society, I totally get. But girl,
Yeah.
what
I'm
they
with
don't
him.
see is that
I'm
we're
with
doing
him.
that too. We
Yeah.
are rejecting mainstream culture, mainstream society by doing what we do, but we're also playing within its rules so that we can get around doing that.
Well, I don't
And
want to hurt. I don't want to hurt
they've
other
made that
people.
connection.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
exactly.
I don't want to scam people and hurt people, and I don't look at someone else that has a nicer car than me or somebody that has a house, and I don't look at them and automatically they don't. You know what's funny is the crust punks or dirty kids don't want to be judged for the way they look, but they are so quick to judge any working class person, and it's like
Yep.
this is my form of activism. Living in a van and not struggling and having another 3 or 4 jobs to be able to afford an apartment, that is me. That is my activism. Seeing all of these Airbnbs and all of these rentals and seeing rent go up and up and up every single day that I'm not participating in it and I'm in a van that's paid off, but I still have goals and aspirations for myself. Like it's not like, oh, stick it to the man by ruining your own life. That's very immature to me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. Like, and our anarchy only works if you do. If everyone works, it does. Like, if everybody just kicks back and begs off of each other, there's no one to beg. It's as bad as consumerism. A society based on consumerism will eventually consume itself, which is pretty much what's happening right now around us. But it's the same thing with beggars. They're consumers, and if they're consuming off of other people who are working in the society, like there's no full circle. You can't just live off of that. Or the society fails to exist, and the things that are in place to protect the society and the people in it, they won't have any provisions or resources to keep giving the beggars. So it doesn't work unless they do.
It's a flawed system. I think there's a few steps that are missing there.
For sure.
But
For sure.
we could talk about that for days. It was just like a current event that came up that I thought would be interesting to mention. If you want to see all of that drama, check out the Drenched in Drama pod. Me and Bunny were on there. And then go check out me and Bunny's TikTok accounts. I'm Bamboozled on TikTok. Bunny, what's your handle
And
again?
I'm Bunny and Beyond or Budget Van Life with Bunny.
I
Either
know
or.
yeah, I always say Bunny and Beyond, but
Yeah.
yeah. Go check all of that cool stuff out. All right. What today is really about, gosh darn it. Last pod I realized we were saying a lot of terms and not even explaining them. So I said, why don't we start off with giving you guys some van life vocab so you know what the heck we're talking about from now on.
So do you want to just go down the list and like one of us can do one and then the other person can do another? We can just riff off each other as it goes.
Let's go for it.
Okay, you go first. Start with rig.
All right, we got our rig. Okay, you might have heard this name used in various different ways, but when it comes to van life, it refers to one's vehicle, especially when it's customized for living or travel.
There's a bug in here. Sorry.
Well, you're gonna have to burn everything down and start over.
Yep. Oh, here's a big ugly baby.
Get out. Run.
Sorry. Oh, it's dead.
Was it a
Sorry about
carpenter bee? They love the wood in my van. Is it
that. No,
chubby or little?
he's a chubbalub.
I think it's a carpenter bee. They love the wood in my van. Love it.
I just don't want him to like put off the scent and like bring his friends. So
They'll bring
like,
everyone. That's the problem. The carpenter bees will like start living in your van. They love wood.
Yeah. Fuck. I'm so sorry, buddy. Like, I don't like killing them, but like,
I know. I try to just shoo them out, but they're so crazy sometimes.
Well, now my van smells like bee death. Okay, back to the thing. Rig.
Yeah. So rig refers to your build, your van, whether it could be it's just referring to the vehicle you live in. Most people refer to their rig if it's like really customized and built out. Like if you get an ambulance and it's like, yeah, check out my rig. And normally people that customize it, I never really use that term because I'm not like a crazy builder person. My husband isn't a crazy builder person. We bought this van after it was built out by some guy that owned a pool company. So Look, I'm just here for the non-rent. I don't know how to build stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Girl, I want to build out your van. I mean, like maybe not that van, but like the next van you have.
Yeah,
like, I
next time.
I think that would make some great content.
Next time.
Okay, so rig, refers to somebody's vehicle and how they're living in it, and like it's just a broad term for your van, your home on wheels, your RV, whatever it is. It does not refer to something you put in your arm veins. What's the next one? Boondocking. This pretty basic stuff. Like if you already know this, like go ahead and like put it on 2x speed. But like boondocking, a lot of people don't know what these terms are. Camping without hookups or amenities. You're typically doing it on public lands. Sometimes you're doing it friends' lands. Just remote areas in general where you don't have any water resources. You don't have any energy resources except for what you've set yourself up on off grid in your rig.
Also, boondocking now is still used in urban camping. People still say boondocking. So if you look up the actual definition, it's meant more for like, oh, I'm off grid basically. And that can mean an RV or a van or anything. Basically, like Bunny said, there's no amenities. You pack in, pack out, whatever water, whatever power, that's what you get. But even in urban camping, which is what I do, we call it boondocking even when we're just in a parking lot, okay? Basically, we're not at a campground. We're not hooked up to anything. So, yeah.
Yep.
All right, next one. Oh, BLM land. So this is public lands managed by the Bureau of Land Management in the U.S., often used for free camping. Bunny can tell you more about this than I can. The East Coast doesn't really have a lot of it. We have something similar in the National Forest here. There's like certain places you can do dispersed camping, which is like you're not in a campground area, you're just like in the forest, but you can only stay for up to 14 days, then you have to leave, then you can come back. But over on the West Coast, that's where you see all the schoolies and the van lifers and everybody's in the desert doing stuff. That's public land where you're on your own out there, but you can be out there and not get harassed.
Right. A lot of the BLM land is on national forest land, on national park land, sometimes not right within the national park, but like surrounding it. It gives people, especially like people who are on disability or who are retired and have the money that they invested in their rig to go camp on public lands for free so that they can access these national parks, because usually people who are retired or on disability have an all access pass to the national parks. And I think they wanted to like make it more accessible because they knew they couldn't provide enough camping within the park or at the established campgrounds where the amenities were. So they made this as kind of like a option for the poors.
Yeah, it's nice to have. It sucks not having it over here as much. So that's a big thing to consider when you're looking into doing van life or living in your vehicle. You really need to consider your lifestyle. Are you going to have a regular 9 to 5 still? Are you going to be remote? Are you going to travel seasonally? Are you going to have seasonal jobs? Are you going to stay on the East Coast or the West Coast? Because that is going to dictate how your day-to-day life is in the van and avoiding getting the knock constantly.
Yes. Yep. It sucks that there's not so much on the east side, but for some reason, I don't know if it's just because there's more open space and natural area that's more unused out west.
Yeah. What was that?
I don't know.
Oh.
My iPad's talking to me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But yeah,
one?
there's just so much more available out especially in the desert and in the other areas on the west.
I think that's what it
PNW.
is. That's it's just like a giant desert, and a lot of people don't want to go out there, and they're like, just do whatever you want out there. But on the East Coast,
East side, I feel like everything's just more compacted and like it's just more busy and a lot more developed. Oh no, you have to go, baby, go. Please go.
I can't help her. I'm just sitting here watching this.
Okay, he's gone.
It's the carpenter bees.
He wants to keep coming inside.
Dude, it's the carpenter bees. They like your van build.
I don't like them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next. That was embarrassing, but it's gonna happen again.
It's fine.
They freaked me out. Okay, so the next one is gray water. And that is you can have 2 tanks. We'll talk about black and gray water. So my van doesn't have this. Hopefully in the future I'd like to install a tank to hold the gray water. But you can have a gray water and a black water tank. And black water is sewage. It's your poop and your pee. And the gray water is like what you use after washing your dishes, what you use after washing your hair, brushing your teeth, that kind of thing. As a van lifer in a budget build, yes, this is a budget build. Look, okay. I don't have a tank to contain all my gray water, and I don't use soap in here at all. When I use soap, I'm in the Planet Fitness. When I wash my dishes, I just use vinegar and water and sometimes baking soda. So I don't really need a place to contain all that, but eventually I'd like to. Sure, that'd be a nice upgrade, but mostly you'll find black and gray water tanks in like more expensive rigs. Like RVs and like fancy van life
or like
builds.
Those Winnebago Sprinter van. Like you can buy van builds pre-built by a manufacturer where it's more like a Winnebago.
But it does come with a whole nother set of responsibilities. And
dude, it can go bad.
You're never supposed to dump your gray or black water anywhere on any public land, on any parking lot, nobody's friend's house. Like you have to go to a designated dump station.
Well, there are certain places you can dump gray water, but it's really frowned upon is if you're not using like organic soaps and stuff. So like, if you're using toothpaste and like Dawn dish soap and like harsh chemicals and stuff, I wouldn't really dump your gray water just out in the open. Like go to a park that has a bathroom or something. But because now I have to have a gray water tank because I'm in urban environments. Yes. So even if I had even if I was constantly using organic whatever stuff in here, which I really don't wash my dishes in here that much. I wash them in the gym. But it doesn't look good to see me dumping a thing of water out near my van because people are going to assume that it's pure poop or people are going to complain. And it's like, okay, it's water with like organic. You can get hiking soap and stuff that's like meant for the ground.
Yeah, anyways, and there's Dr. Bronner's and that kind of thing.
And, I use that. Is that good? Yeah. That's okay to dump?
Oh yeah, that's. I mean,
I didn't know that.
It's pretty concentrated, so like if you use a lot, like it's still going to be harmful. But like if you're just using a drop or two,
I literally just wash my hands in there or brush my teeth in there. My toothpaste is probably the worst chemicals in there.
Yep. Yeah, I know, right? I know. That's my worst chemicals that come out of the van is the toothpaste. And my poop.
Well.
Yeah. It's bad, y'all, especially when I got the tacos going on. Anyway, I have a short story I want to tell you guys about the gray water and black water thing. I camped with a woman that I no longer can associate with because she did this. And I won't drop any names. I will be nice. But please don't do what she did. She had just lost her van. It like fell off the lift. And so the mechanic that ruined her van gave her a loaner one. They rented her one. And so when she got this rental van, it already had like a half full gray tank from the people who rented it before. And she was like, well, I have to dump it. And we happened to be camping at a waterfowl reservation kind of place where it was protected lands. And so we're in this like gravel parking lot and there's a pit toilet for people to use. And there's like a walkway to like watch all the waterfowl. And she asks me, should I dump this here? And I was like, no, absolutely not. You don't know what was in there before you went in there and started adding to that gray water tank. Like, why would you ever think, especially on land like this? Like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do it anyway. And I was like, no.
Then why did you ask me?
I thought she wasn't going to do it.
Then why did you ask me?
Exactly. So then she did it anyway. And let me tell you, the smells, it smelled like someone had dyed their hair and dumped it into the gray water tank.
No.
And it was all over this beautiful waterfowl area. And I'm like, you just poisoned the land. I have to go.
Why?
I have to go. So
Why
like,
wouldn't
if
she
you
dump
do
it
that,
into the
I'm gonna
toilet
call you out.
area?
Like if I see you doing that as a van lifer and I'm out and about, baby, don't try it because I'm gonna report your ass.
But
Just saying.
why didn't she dump it in the toilet area?
I don't. That's the thing.
I don't
I
understand
don't think
this.
she had a way to do it because it was a rental. It didn't like supply all the necessary tubes and
Oh,
stuff.
she didn't have a hose.
But still, like there was a dump station like 20 miles away. She could have just made a quick trip.
Also, this is a great time for you to consider if you want an RV that has black and gray water tanks you have to deal with and they leak and break and freeze. And you have to like get a hose in there and flush it out and find a place to
They
dump
get
it.
plugged up.
You have to
And
put
you have to
chemicals
add
in there.
chemicals
Yeah.
to your
the
black water
RVs.
tank. Yep. You have to add chemicals to break down the poop so that you can push it through the tube.
It's not good.
and get
Just
it out.
we talked about this last time. Don't poop in your RV or van. Just if you have to go, use a bucket, poop in a bag, and throw it away. It's going to be so much better for everyone involved, honestly.
Yep.
In my opinion.
And the whole pee thing, like dumping your pee, like I don't have a problem if you do it on a bush or whatever, gallon or two at a time, because the pee actually has nitrogen in it and it actually helps to, if you think about it, cows do that. They pee all over their field, horses do that, and wild animals do that. And it actually does fertilize the soil and stuff. So it's not going to damage anything. Just don't do it. Dump out like a cup of pee out of your van, out of the window.
You have to have common sense. Don't dump it in front of someone's house or next to a playground.
Or where people are going to sit or stand or maybe put their groceries on. Like, come on.
Be normal.
Be smart about it. Just be discreet too. And try to wait till after dark because people are going to have a fit no matter what you do, even if you do it perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay, so next is
high top. A van with an extended roof allowing occupants to stand upright inside. This is a very sensitive subject for me. My van, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Okay. I don't want to see that.
I suffered for 12 years, babe. 12 years.
I guess you finally deserve it. Yeah. So my van is not a high top. I'm sitting down right now and I can literally touch the ceiling. This is tall enough to where we can sit up in bed at least. But the crappiest thing about my van is the fact that I'm hunched over in here, like trying to get dressed, moving around, washing my hands. So really the only time I'm in my van is if I'm sitting down working on the laptop, if I'm laying in bed at night. Most of the time I always have the doors open and I'm outside with my dog. So it's not that annoying, but it is actually pretty annoying. And I would
It's definitely an upgrade. I don't want to tell too much of a story on this one, but I started out in a freaking hatchback. And over the years, I was able to save money and upgrade and upgrade and upgrade. And now I have this high top van that I only bought about six months ago, built out myself while I was traveling, while I was living in it on a budget. If I hadn't have been able to sell my old van, I would never have been able to do any of this. And there was a lot of hell that I went through to get to this point. My van had a leak. It still has a leak. There's a door that doesn't shut all the way. When I bought it, I knew it had some issues, but I was willing to put in the work. And so like, on that bougie tip again, like this is something that has taken me 12 fucking years to achieve, to make happen. And yeah, I deserve it. So it wasn't something that was like given to me, here, you have a Sprinter. No, I started off at the lowest of the low. I hitchhiked too out of a backpack. And I brought this, after so many years. So yeah, it is an upgrade. And I hope the next one you have will have something that you can stand up in for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what the universe brings us. But, this van isn't going to last forever. Also, we're just kind of outgrowing it. And we're realizing, I don't know what's going on with the economy, okay? This is not an economy podcast. I'm not Dave Ramsey. All I can tell you is it ain't good. I don't think I'm getting a house.
The future is uncertain.
So I don't know if I'm going to get another van or if we're going to get a truck with one of those Lance truck bed campers, which is like a little bit more manufactured. But some of the older ones are so nice. They have a wet bath. They have a full kitchen. And it's just, dude, we're not just... Because Andrew works every day at a regular job. So he needs something to come home to and be comfortable. And he's getting older. My husband's like 13 years older than me. So, he's my little old man. And I just want something for him to be comfortable. But we don't want the responsibility and the nightmare of an RV. I don't want that. I don't want that.
Right.
Anyways,
Right.
on to the next thing.
Okay, cargo van versus passenger van. So I guess what you would have is technically a passenger van, but at the same time, it can be classified as a cargo van.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people call conversion vans the one with like the fiberglass roof, which is similar to what I have, but mine used to be a bus, so it's literally a high top. But there's a cargo van, which is like usually a low roof, right?
It looks
But
like a work van.
Passenger van, I think, is also like a passenger van could be a minivan. It could be one of those Astros, the Chevy Astros. It could be like
a cargo van is
Ford Transit Connect.
A cargo van is typically empty in the back, ready for conversion, while a passenger van comes with seats designed. Okay, so mine was legitimately a passenger van. My van has windows. These are all curtains, right? My van has windows 360 all the freaking way around, so insulation. I'm a fishbowl. So I did these cute little curtains and made it very cozy, girl. But it had seats in here, and then the guy that did this actually took one of the passenger seats and put it up front. So my front seat is one big bench seat. There's pros and cons to that. I do have more storage underneath instead of just a middle console area. And like, if anyone
for climbing for it must be a pain.
For Andrew it is. For me, I'm only 5'1", so like I'm like a little marsupial in here. Being a small person makes van life easier because I'm just like running around.
How tall are you, Kyla?
5'1".
It is the one time where I wish I was not 5'8". So I feel you. Yeah. Like in my last van, it was a conversion van, but she was an old school conversion van. You could have stood up and been very comfortable in her.
Yeah.
Andrew, not so much.
No. He gets so frustrated in here.
Yeah.
And his anxiety, that's the other thing. Like, you need to take into consideration your mental disposition, because this might make you feel very claustrophobic and stressed out and like you're trapped in a vehicle.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It sure will. Absolutely. There's definitely, we can get to that. We'll get to that in another podcast.
Another day.
A mental health van life podcast. That's definitely a great idea. Okay. What's the next one? You go ahead with the next one.
Okay. So we have a pop-up. These are pretty cool. A roof that can be elevated to provide additional headroom or sleeping space. Now, I'm half and half on these. For me, I wouldn't want one because I'm a full-timer and I'm in an urban environment frequently, and we're full-time in one area. So in the winter, you're going to freeze to death in a pop-up. Also, the pop-ups eventually, they always get mold. They always get damaged. It's great for a weekend warrior. Living in one full time, I wouldn't recommend. And I'm not even just talking about a pop-up camper. There's vans. Normally, it's those old school VWs where they pop up at an angle, and then you can sleep up there. Sometimes they have like an extra sleeping area, or it's just so you can stand up while you're inside of it. But It's basically like half tent, half car, and I don't like it. And there's also the Lance campers like that, and I don't want that.
And you can't just arrive at a place and be ready to sleep. You have to set up, which means you have no stealth at all. They know you're living in there. They're going to hear everything you do. If you want to have some hanky-panky time, like they're going to hear everything through that canvas. So, well, that's not for me.
Also, if you're in an urban environment, or if you use whatever you live in as an everyday driver, setting up and breaking down that pop-up twice a day is going to put so much wear and tear on it. That thing is not going to last. So they're cute. They're adorable. I love them. In a perfect world, if I was just a weekender with like a cute little whatever, great, fun, cute, not to live in full time. Thank you.
And if you have a rainy weekend, you can't pack that up until it dries out. So you're stuck.
Mold.
You're stuck.
Mold.
Okay, cassette toilet. I guess you should talk about this because you have one.
My laptop is sitting on top of it right now.
Yes. Double duty.
So I've gone through 2 cassette toilets. Shout out Miss Reggie. Miss Reggie sent me the first one. Yeah, she's the best. She's one of our mods and followers back on TT, but she left there because it's the bad place, and I don't blame her. So cassette toilets, basically, it's like a glorified little camping toilet. It's minus two parts. There's like the pee-pee part that everything goes into, and it disconnects from the toilet seat part. So it's like a little handle, a little suitcase of pee. And then the top part, the ones that I've had, you can put clean water in there, and it's a little pump that'll flush the bowl, which is nice because it what rinses out the pee or whatever a little bit, and the water goes in there. I like it for what I'm doing because, like I said, I'm driving this around multiple times a day. I'm in a urban environment during the week. So it's great to be able to boop, do my thing. I have the toilet inside of a storage bin, like what you put your
Yeah.
Christmas ornaments in. And then I have a giant cutting board that I put on top of that. So it's like a nice flat surface. So I have a place to sit while I'm getting dressed, or I have a place to
So
sit.
it's triple duty.
Yeah, I'm using it as a
Triple
work
doo-doo.
using it as a work desk right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
honestly, I am very pro cassette toilet or compost toilet or bucket versus versus investing in a wet bath or an actual toilet with a black tank in your van,
Same.
because they always have problems, and then you got to gut it and redo it. It's not, when this thing has leaked, it was in the Tupperware and I could just take it out, wash it, hose it down. It's
Mhm.
Trust me, it's always the pee pee poo poo will always be a problem.
Yeah, having a black tank is definitely a luxury that just it doesn't really spell luxury for me. It's luxury spelled responsibility. I just don't want to deal with it. And I've been doing this in a bucket for so long now that it's just
Yeah.
I've made it work. And I use these compostable bags. We can talk about this one later, but I can bury them. I can bury my poop
That's
and it doesn't
awesome.
affect anything. So that's what I do. And maybe a cassette toilet one day. It'd be nice to be able to like put it on drawer hinges and have it like pull out.
Yeah,
But
people have them. People with more room or a nicer build, mine is very elementary. They'll have it look like a cabinet, and then they just pull it out on hinges and use it. That's
yep,
great. Easy, nice, great.
yep. What's the next one? Cockpit. I mean, this is kind of obvious, but it's funny because like I don't really call it a cockpit. I've always called it like the front seat area.
Just the
Yeah,
front
just the
seat.
front. But it is definitely like important to point out that like we don't that's not always included in our living space. Like that's like the driving zone. That's like the deal with the cop zone. That's like the public zone. So like we kind of keep that space. Like I don't really advertise that anyone's living in
No,
here by like having that clean dashboard, and like I keep things as tidy as I can up there.
it
Just
looks
because I don't
normal.
want people to, yeah, I don't want people to think like, oh, if I'm at a truck stop though, like I'll keep like a pair of girls' shoes up there so I don't get any lot lizards. But that's definitely a separate part. And I curtain off the back part, the living area,
Yeah, most people always
from
have
my
a curtain, or
divider.
people will have a physical divider and then like a pass through, which is always nice.
That's cool.
My van, if you see it, it is not stealth. It is so obvious this is a camper van. It's a very unique van.
Yeah.
So it's pretty obvious what I'm doing. But if I had just like a regular cargo van, I would definitely want like a flat wall with a pass through, because people
Mhm.
never know, is it a moving truck? Is it a work truck? And in an urban environment, nobody will think twice about it. And the tow trucks really don't want to deal with towing them around here because they're so
Yeah.
big.
Some
But
people I see put like those safety fluorescent
yep.
yellow jacket vests on the front seat, and like, that helps people dissuade them from thinking it's someone's living in there. So yeah, there's a bunch of things you can do in that area. That's a whole thing in itself, like the stealth thing.
We should do a stealth and safety
Absolutely.
episode.
I'm writing
Yeah.
this all down.
Very good, very good. Write that down.
Okay,
Write that
what's
down.
the next one?
Boop boop boop. Uh, what's a dinghy?
A toad. So yeah, like that's more for like RVers, or I've also seen people with really nice vans that have like something on the back where they have like a motorcycle or something, but that's more like on a rack.
Oh,
I've seen people tow.
I have a
It's like
tow
a two-wheel
hitch.
trailer, and they put like a little two-wheel trailer, and like the back wheels just kind of float with the
Oh,
road.
what?
And I have, well, I know people with buses that do that. They tow another
Oh,
thing.
it says
There's a lot of big
a
RVs that do
vehicle
that.
Oh, it's like a dinghy, like a boat. So it's a vehicle. This says it's a vehicle being towed by your motorhome. Okay, this doesn't really apply to van life. So when you have a really big, nice RV, okay, that is not going to be something you're driving around a cute little town. You're driving up these narrow, crazy mountains. You're taking that to an RV park, parking it. So then how the heck do you get around to get to all the other areas? Because especially where I live in the Appalachians, the roads here are super narrow and super scary. And I would not enjoy driving a giant RV on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I would never recommend it. Sometimes people do it and it's terrifying to watch.
It's another luxury build, RESPON. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people around here, they go down in the valley to the RV parks and the campgrounds, and then you have to have another vehicle to get to the actual trailheads to see all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I like having
or to go into town and get groceries or go see the things. Yeah.
That's next level. That's next level luxury.
That's
I would
not
rather
camping. I feel like that's just like it's snowbird status. It's like boomer kind of thing.
Dude, it's a boomer thing. Everyone that I see do that is older retired people, which is fine. That's totally fine if you want to do that. But I don't think that applies to what we're doing around here.
I feel like you have to be a couple or a group of people to do that, because like a family, because that is so much to maintain as one single person. First of all, an RV in itself is like no, thank you. That's a whole job. Like the maintenance, the roof maintenance, all that.
It's a lot.
But to maintain another vehicle in tow and to get it on the tow thing and like not have a friend with you or someone to help you get it on there, right? Like
you have to
anyone that I've seen,
you have to be a couple.
More people. Yeah, it's always 2 or more people and I mean, sometimes you get breakdowns. Like who's going to come pick you up when you have to get that vehicle towed to the mechanics? Like you have to come in the RV and pick up the person and put it back in the campsite. So you have to have 2 people for that. It's too much for me.
It's too much. More money, more problems, more things, more problems.
So we talked about this already, but dump station is the next one. That's a designated area for legal dumping in the black and gray water tank. That's found at RV campgrounds. There's some out west that you can pay, a nominal fee for, minimal fee for. There's some at like national parks. There's some at rest stops. You can go to truck stops and get some of the, you go in the front at the cashier and ask them how much it is to dump, and they tell you where it is and how to do it and all that. Most national parks, most campgrounds have them if they're full hookup amenities. Sometimes you can dump right at your campsite if it's a really bougie campground, like an HOA or not HOA, but KOA. Yep. The next one, I've never heard of this.
What is this?
Chucking.
Yes. The violent back and forth motion experienced during towing, usually caused by an unbalanced trailer or uneven roadway. Well, I have definitely seen people in RVs on travel days, and they have to tie everything down or else it gets destroyed. Like the cabinets will open up, stuff will fly around. So when you see all of those RV people on YouTube or TikTok and it's like, oh, this is so cute, and they have a table and chairs and oh my God, TV, everything on moving day, on travel day. It's very exhausting unless you're going to stay somewhere for a long time. Everything has to be tied down. You have to put the slide ins in. Okay, it's a whole. My parents lived in a fifth wheel. I don't want to sound like I'm crapping on RV people. Like, it's cool, it's fun, I get it. I understand why people like it. But for me personally, I have nothing but anxiety because I know how all of it works, and I don't want to. I'm too tired. I don't want to do that. I just want to hike and forage. I want to hike and forage.
Fun things. I don't want to worry about the responsibility of living in the. But most of the people who have that are coming from almost luxury homes. They're used to having all the amenities at their fingertips, and they can't live without it. They don't know how to survive without it.
But why do you want to manage all of it? Like, it's too. I guess my need for my need for peace and not having to manage all of that outweighs the comfort of those things.
Absolutely,
I do understand. I have friends that I took camping one time, and they were like, "Please help me. I hate this." And I was like, "Oh, I forget that stuff that I'm chill with, other people are like, I don't want to do that." Yeah. Like, I forget that I'm like, I park the van and I get out of the van and everything's good. And people are like, but where's your, like, panini press? And I'm like, what? They're like, I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah. Where's your other set of this or your other set of that, or like all your utensils?
You're looking at it.
I got tongs. They can flip a pancake better than a spatula. So like, we're dealing with that right now. Yeah.
You're looking at it, pal.
One fork and 2 spoons,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I have 2 of everything, one for me, one for Andrew, and that's about it.
Right. But the whole chucking thing, I mean, I think I've experienced that, like towing horses a couple times, where if you have a trailer and it can fit, 4 to 6 horses, you're going to put the horse at the very front of the trailer, because if any of that weight is towards the back,
it's
can
gonna
make the thing uneven. But that doesn't really apply to us. It's more of like a Nomad generalization.
Well, I will tell you, we can still have stuff break and fly around. Like if you're on a bumpy road, like all the stuff like banging around, you still have to be careful. Things are gonna
and
fly
if you're
around.
doing a DIY van build and you don't consider how much weight is on one side versus the other and towards the front versus the back, you and I both have that long bed of, what is that called? The bottom of the van?
It's just extended. It's an extended van.
Base. The long base. Yeah, the wheelbase.
Oh, yeah.
We have that long extra 1.5 feet in the back. And like, if I were to put all my water back there, like, hell no. No.
Not good.
It would not be good. It would give me uneven tire wear. I would not be able to balance on the road. It would be
we had to get rid of this guy had a real mattress in here, like a home mattress, and we had to get rid of it because it was too much weight back there.
Too much weight. Yep. Okay, what's the next one? Fifth wheel. We don't have to talk about that.
5th wheel, fresh water capacity, full hookup, solar shower.
Yeah, so how much water do you have in your van?
Okay, so fresh water capacity, it's the amount of drinkable water RV's freshwater tank can hold. So I don't have, everything is like DIY Mod Podge in here, okay? So I have a sink build, it's one of those blue, like, camping jugs. It's a 7-gallon food grade jug with, like, the little nozzle on it. And then I have a regular 5-gallon blue jug like you see, like, at the, water cooler at the office, okay? So yeah, at any given time, I have plenty of water for me, Andrew, Gunner, and then, I mean,
yep, that's about what I carry too. It's anywhere from like 12 to 15 gallons. Of course, I would like to upgrade that. I mean, I've seen like the custom size, the big boxy ones that are way more efficient in holding the water, and then you have to install a pump, and then you have to charge the pump and like keep it. Somehow you have to have power, and I have solar, so I could do that, but like that's something down the road for me. But right now I have 2 of those 5-gallon cooler jugs. I have a little hand pump on top of one of them. I switch them out, and then I have like various 1-gallon things, just so like if I need to put in the radiator for emergencies, I have an easier way, or like bring a gallon outside to keep it for my dog. And then I have this like hand pump thing that I use as like a solar shower that I keep a gallon of water in too. So it's anywhere from like 12 to 15 right now, but definitely want to upgrade that.
I have you're out in the desert for longer stints of time. I'm in the city, so it's not like I'm without anything. I have a regular hand pump on the drinking water, just like the 5-gallon. And then my sink build, I have a rechargeable. It was like a $15 or $20 faucet. Those are good, but like I've gone through 2 or 3 of them in the past couple years. They just don't last very long, but they stay charged for a really long time. I charge it maybe once a month, so I don't know.
I think anytime you mix water with electronics,
never good.
No, it's going to be a problem. What's next? Full hookup. Yeah, that's a campsite that offers water supply, sewer, septic, and electricity. You can have like partial hookup where it only offers electricity or so much electricity or only water or something. But like for the most part, I don't camp at places like that unless I'm paying. And I honestly haven't paid for a campsite in, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. It's been a while, years.
Yeah, a lot of RV parks are not going to let self builds or van builds in. They only want RVIA certified vehicles, and there's 2 reasons. One, yes, classism, and they don't want the trash in there, but also those are their words, not mine. But also it's a liability because if something's not RVIA certified, they don't trust some rando person doing electrical and all of this stuff. And if they hook up their power to the electrical at the RV park, they're worried about like electrical fires. They're worried about someone's random Mod Podge schoolie build being set on fire. But I will tell you, a lot of people that do schoolie builds or van builds, they are better quality than the RV manufacturers these days. these days.
Girl, I have to put the mic down and pee. So I'm going to turn the camera like on the other side
I'll
for a
keep
minute.
talking.
Okay, cool.
All right, very real. All right, so I have a 30 amp hookup. The guy that did my van build actually did a pretty good job considering it's a very simple build, but he did a lot of stuff that was very efficient and very cool. So I have a 30 amp outlet on the side of my van outside, and I can hook up with the 30 amp cord like a Camco cord. There's special cables for hooking up to power at RV parks, and you have to have a surge protector. It gets really complicated. Like, I'm not kidding. It's not people think you get an RV and you're just like, you pull up and you're done. It is so much stuff that's kind of a headache, honestly. But I love that I have that 30 amp hookup because we have been able to get a electric site in the National Forest here. So we have electricity, we can run the AC, we can run the lights, we can charge stuff because I have wall outlets in here. And it's been good for me. So the National Forest didn't care that I wasn't RVIA certified. They're just like, yeah, pay and show up and do your thing. So I guess the guy did a good job on the electrical. I don't know. There hasn't been any electrical fires yet. But I have a surge protector and the proper cords. You got to be really careful. And there's also the bigger RVs have 50 amp hookups. So there's 30 amp, 50 amp. Obviously, different RVs can run different levels of power. Oh my God. Bunny has a special secret lemonade that she's going to go sell at Slab City.
Yep.
No.
I'm going to sell it on OF.
That's the spirit.
Yep.
That's the spirit.
Chill out, you guys. It's just watered down Mountain Dew. God. Just because it smells like asparagus doesn't mean shit.
Okay, what do we have here? Solar shower, a portable, often black bag style shower that heats water using the sun. I kind of have something like that. It was $20 off Amazon. It's just this bag with a handle you can hang up, and it has a little hose, and then it just has like a plastic nozzle that you can open or close, and I just hang it on the outside of my van, like on my like luggage rack or whatever, and I just shower off normally in my bathing suit. So some of the campsites we go to in the summer are right near a swimming hole, but they don't have showers, they only have toilets, and there's no power, so it's like more like it's only like $20 to camp there, but it's in a gorgeous area, so it's worth it.
Yeah.
We go for the location, but you have to be kind of on your own. So
do you guys have like a shower tent?
No, it's not very busy. Like the campgrounds in the National Forest are literally amazing and beautiful, and they're worth it to pay to stay. Like it's just like the mountains, and then there's like a few people far. Like the campsites aren't really close to each other, and as long as you go not on a busy, like we'll go on a weekday or something. So I just hook up the shower on the other side of my van. No one's over there. It's just like the trees, and then I just shower in my bathing suit.
Okay. I don't do that. I mean, I'm like you. I have a gym membership, and like there are times where like I'll dip in a hot spring to rinse off, or like I'll go take a cold, plunge in a river or a lake or something. I do that a lot in the summer. But I don't really typically. I think I've washed my hair a couple times with my little. I have this like garden sprayer thing that's meant for pesticides, but if you never use it for pesticides and just keep water in it, it's perfectly fine to use.
Right.
And it's got this like sprayer you can lock down. And you pump it up really good, and for like 2 whole minutes, it will continuously spray enough for you to like rinse your hair or wash your face.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. So, there's a bee in here.
It's the carpenter bees. The carpenter bees.
But it's great for like washing your hands. If you're rock hounding, for washing off rocks, for washing off your feet. If you're at the beach or like you've been hiking and your feet are disgusting from the sand. This morning I used it. I've painted mine black. That way I can sit it out on my front in the sun, and it warms up, and like I can use it for washing things. But like even this morning, Sparrow had like a cactus thorn in his foot, and he was limping around, and like, I washed it out with that thing because it's right there. It's outside, and like you don't have to pull it inside, but it's also, you can pull it inside. So it's a nice little thing to have. But that's the closest thing I have to a solar shower. I tried one of those bags, and girl, that thing just spilled everywhere all the time.
No, they're definitely like, it's just like a cheap, easy thing to have. And sometimes
I had an expensive one that was like this beautiful like backpack quality fabric on the outside of this like interior bag. Girl, that thing just blew up everywhere. You can't. It's great if you have a river at the campsite that you can dip it in, fill it up, and then later in the day have warm water.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to lug it around in this like rubber bag?
No. It's
No.
literally like I use it in the summer if we're camping for a few days, and
Right.
I don't even bother washing my hair. It's too hard. It's basically like you just do a bath, you do your coochie, your woochie, your Gucci, just to rinse off. But like I never use it for a full shower. But if we're camping and there's no shower and I'm in the middle of nowhere, I'm not gonna go an hour back into town to go to the gym.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I'm already, and there's a difference between like a camping shower and I'm going to be hiking this weekend shower and a weekday I'm going to work shower. When I know I'm going to be back out hiking the next day, I just need to be clean enough to get into
off
the
and move on. Yeah. It's not like a whole like scrub down exfoliation, pumice the feet, none of that. Yeah. Okay. So house battery, you guys have like the Jackery thing, that's a whole fucking episode in itself.
Triggered. I'm using I have an EcoFlow and an EcoFlow River 2 now. We can talk about how all of that happened another day.
That's another podcast. I'll write that down as well as an episode. I have like a Griselle one that I got as a brand deal kind of thing, just a product review that I got free. I really like it, but it's not like big capacity like yours is. I think it only like caps out at like 300 watts. So like I could use like maybe a rice cooker that was like
that's
a cup.
what the EcoFlow River 2 is 300 watts, and then the EcoFlow River is
that magical boost 600 watt button.
No.
But the big one has the 600 watt continuous.
But the quality of the EcoFlow River 2 is better. It's the type of battery it is. It's a higher quality lithium, so it'll last longer.
Right.
Because people don't realize those lithium batteries have a lifespan. So every time, if the battery's at 100 and you drain it all the way to 0, that's one charge. That's like one life cycle. Okay.
Yeah.
So these batteries are guaranteed for 3,000 or 10,000. So they're not cheap, and they're also not going to last forever. And you know what? Can I say something? This is my biggest gripe with trying to be eco-conscious, and that's probably the worst thing we do as van lifers is the lithium batteries for solar, because it's ironic. Oh, we're using solar and it's eco-conscious, but the lithium batteries are mined. Do you guys know how lithium is mined?
That's a whole, we could do a whole
footage
podcast on that.
No. Just look up how lithium is mined and look up what's going on in Africa. And we'll talk about that a different day. But you don't think that
we can do a whole van life eco-friendly what we use podcast. I've written that one down too.
Girl.
On that tip though, I do have two 100 amp hour lithium batteries and they're connected to my whole solar setup.
Yeah.
So I have like a fridge and freezer combo that I run pretty much all the time. I usually turn it off at night just because the sound of it will wake me up, but I can keep it going if I want to. And I have a laptop that so that Griselle thing, that power bank is literally just a backup, like an oh shit kind of thing. I can use it at night or after a few days of rain and I haven't really gotten a lot of sun to charge my batteries. I have some backup, maybe even as like a jump starter kind of thing, but one of those too. So I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah. I have a jump starter pack.
Yeah. The lithium, I have two of those and that's my house battery. But there's so many different ways you can do it now. I have a friend who has a huge, I think it's like 4,000 what 400, I don't know, it's freaking huge, it's like massive, and it's a lipo battery, and that thing, she runs her air conditioning that's built into the roof in a van off of that thing.
That's
but
insane.
She also has, and that doesn't have an inverter or anything. It's very weird how she has it. No, that does have an inverter.
It has to. It would have to.
It doesn't have an inverter because the AC runs off of DC, and that's DC power that's coming from the solar panel, but it does have a charge controller so that the battery doesn't get overpowered. But she has like 800 watts of power on her roof.
That's insane.
So she has like endless power. But the other thing about that power setup is that she's got 3 different Jackeries, 2 smaller ones and one really big one that's like 1,000 watt. that run everything else, her lights, her laptop, her charging things, like
Okay.
fans in her van. So those things don't need an inverter because they can plug right into it.
Okay, so she doesn't
And
have
just
a traditional
right from
solar setup.
right. So her setup's a little different because she built it out in different sections where she added
Okay.
the AC later
That's
and
kind of
got
cool
that.
though. I kind
Yeah.
of like having more than one option for power.
Option.
I do not have solar. You know, it's something that we had talked about, but we just don't want to invest any more money in the
In
van
this van.
build
Yeah.
because we know this
Yep.
isn't going to be our forever van. But this is a Domedic 13,500 BTU.
AC.
Yeah, so it's massive. It's really meant for an RV. It's hilarious that this guy put this in here, but he's from Florida. We're from Florida. So you want a big boy AC, but he was only using this for the weekends. The guy built this out as a weekend camper. That's why it's very basic, right? So for me personally, we're in the city during the week. I have access to the library and my husband's office. So like I can charge things and charge things at the gym, and I have my eco flows. So I don't feel like I need the solar. Would it be nice? Yes. But the type of solar I could afford, and you have to have the space for the solar
Yeah.
setup. So like I would never be able to power this AC unit with solar. Like
Yeah.
it would be like an $8,000 project. Like it doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. It's
It
definitely
doesn't make
not
sense.
a cheap investment, but it's worth it in the end. It really is worth it.
Yeah.
The rest of these on this list are like kind of like they're not really like, I don't know.
I've never heard
I
a lot of
don't-
these. Ooh, I know.
they're
Okay.
not really terms. They're more like just people use them, but there are some
there's
more
a
if we
few
keep
down
going
here.
down. Like stealth camping is when like you're usually in the city or restricted areas that you're not supposed to be in, and you try the most to be as ninja mode as possible, where like you black out your windows, you do the whole like move everything out of the front so it doesn't look like anyone's living there. Like that's a whole episode in itself, but it's basically like just staying as under the radar as possible, doing it in neighborhoods, in cities, at hotels,
Side
that kind of thing.
streets. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then there's dry camping, which is just like boondocking. It's pretty much the same thing. You don't have access to anything, so you have to bring all your own stuff. You can dry camp at paid campgrounds too, which I don't understand. My
No,
parents used to do that with
I've
us,
done
and
I've
like,
done
why?
that.
It's
Well,
free.
that's what I was telling you
But
about.
over there on the East Coast, you don't have that many options. So,
There's
yeah.
you can pay for dry camping in like up in the mountains, but it's
Right.
like you're paying to camp in that area because it is
Yeah.
so gorgeous, but it's up in the mountains, so like there's nowhere else to even park like on the side of
Right.
like
Right.
you're up in the Blue Ridge Parkway and then you pull off to go to this campground and you're basically parking there for the convenience of being in that location. But
Yep.
like, yeah, you're not getting power or a shower, but it's like $20. And if you get the membership, it's like 50% off.
I think it's probably another thing. Like out here, we have like there's campgrounds you can't camp in the Redwood National Forest. There's no
Right.
free camp in that
Exactly.
area. But it's weird because it's national forest, but California is a sellout, and so they partnered with the state, and so the state park actually owns in conjunction with the national parks over there. So they basically are like, I forget what they call it, but they basically sell out to the state so that they act as like the hosts and stuff of the campground. And most of those campgrounds have no amenities. Some of them do, but there's a big campground there that just doesn't. And that's dry camping, but you pay like $80 a night.
Oh
sometimes.
no! Oh no! 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 No!
Yeah. I mean,
No.
not us, but some silly people do.
I would not pay $80 for dry camping, even with full.
But
even
if you're within the redwoods, it's a whole.
It's the
girl.
experience.
I
It's the
wouldn't
experience.
want to camp in the redwoods without being at a campground because it's terrifying. Like those woods are so ancient; they're so terrifying. Like things move. You talk about Bigfoot energy. Like it's you. I don't care what drug you are on or not on, you are going to see some weird stuff at night there. And I would rather be surrounded by people in an established place than spend the night in the redwoods alone.
It gets
Absolutely
scary
not.
in the Appalachians too. Like
Oh,
at,
I
at
bet.
night,
Yeah.
at nighttime.
Yeah,
It
hell
gets a
yeah.
little-
There's
gets a little-
weird things you hear out there. There's so many haunted stories. Ooh,
gets
that's
a
another
little-
podcast.
Gets a little creepy out here at night. I'll be honest. I don't get scared easy, but at nighttime it's pitch black up in the mountains. You don't have cell phone service. I need to get one of those satellite phones because yeah.
Okay, that's another podcast episode, like haunted camping places.
Oh,
I
for
love
sure,
that.
for sure. There's a lot of lore here, and like the Cherokee, like this is like all was should still be Cherokee land, but that's
Yeah.
another conversation.
That's another conversation about land that belonged to others first and respecting it. Let's talk about mooch docking.
Oh yes. I've
You go
mooch
ahead with
docked.
that one.
I've mooch docked. So
Yep.
when we got this van, we had some friends in St. Pete, and they were like, he used to be an RV tech, and then became an RV salesman, and he did help us out a lot with our van. Actually, he helped us build out the back part of our Honda Pilot. When we first lived in our Honda Pilot, he helped us build out like the platform for the bed, and then we had storage underneath. Shout out to Danny. Yeah, me and his girlfriend had a falling out, but I guess he's no longer with her either. I should whatever, it's fine. I'm putting people's business on blast. But okay, but he was really chill is what I'm trying to say. And he let us park in his backyard of his house and hook up to their power so we could run the AC at night. And it was like gated, and he had like a little gate. So that was mooch docking because we're connected to your power.
You're mooching off of someone's like power and their amenities, but at the same time, like usually there's some kind of like agreement made. I've done that at friends' houses, but like a lot of my friends have homesteads, and so I love working on a farm. I love doing that kind of stuff, and I'll do it for free just to stay at their place. But like usually they end up feeding me, go pick apples from the orchard. Here's some, gardening supplies. Yeah, you can take off with if you want them. Like, there's all kinds of different things that you get in exchange. And like, I always we should make this point very clear that when you're mooch docking, do not overstay your welcome, and definitely make your time there valuable to the person you're mooch docking from.
Yeah, like in mooch docking, normally it's not like you're secretly doing it typically. It's like a friend, or you're visiting family, or whatever. Like Bunny said, there's some type of agreement where I'm working for you, or doing this or doing that, whatever. We were basically like mooch docking in Andrew's manager's FEMA trailer this winter, but Andrew works for him, and his manager offered because
and it was sitting there unused, so it was like, well, this is a no-brainer. Why don't you just
it was a whole agreement. But I have done something bad in Florida. Andrew's old job, the like corporate startup, it was in downtown St. Pete, and that parking lot was like it was like a private parking lot, so like everyone had to like do city street parking and stuff and have a parking pass. At nighttime, we would back our van up to the side of his office building, and Andrew would go inside, and he would climb up, or he would go up to the balcony, the second story, and we had a 50-foot extension cord, and we would plug our van into their power, and then Andrew would get up really early and go inside and shower. They had a shower.
Would that be called stealth docking?
I think it's called.
Did we just come up with the new terminology?
It's called borrowing power.
Oh, yes, right.
But they also had a shower. That office was chill. It was like this weird historic building that used to be a house. So there was a full shower in there. So we would shower at Andrew's office and like use their power, and they had a full kitchen in there. It was pretty cool. But yeah, we would get up really early, and Andrew would shower, and then like coil up the extension cord and throw it down, and like then we go park like in a regular parking spot. So whatever.
Next thing is we should talk about parking lot surfing. And then we should make it all the way down that part of the list too. We should end with the knock. We have to end with the knock.
I love that.
Okay. All right. So you talk about like I'll do lot surfing, and because you've done extensive research on carcassonne.
Where's the lot surfing?
Okay, keep going down.
Oh, I see it.
Okay. And then you see like at the bottom it says the knock, and then we can stop there.
Yeah.
And we'll do the rest in another episode.
All right.
Okay, so lot surfing is like, I'm going to let you do the harvest hosting thing because you've done all the research on that, and like, you can say whatever you want.
Oh,
Girl, you can get nasty, but we'll also save that for another episode too if you want. Just give them the general overview. Anyway, lot surfing is when you're staying over in like a business lot, or like a mechanic lot, or even a Walmart lot, or a Cracker Barrel lot, or my personal favorite, hotel lots. Don't tell anybody. We're keeping that on the DL. Just kidding. We're not, because you're probably going to not edit that. I don't care. Edit it out. I don't, whatever. Keep it in. Cracker Barrel, Cabela's, Walmart. It's like when you're at a business, you have permission. If you don't have permission, you're probably going to have issues, and we'll talk about that's coming up. But definitely I would always make sure you get permission, even if it's a Cracker Barrel that you've stayed at before, even if it's a Walmart that you've stayed at. Sometimes the cities and the county codes change from the last time you were there. Like I was in Idaho like a year before I went the second time, and I went to stay at this Cracker Barrel, and I called to make sure, and they said, I'm sorry, but the city codes has changed. We don't have a problem with you staying there, but you might get the knock. Yep. So I said, all right, I'll go somewhere else. So actually went out of the county at that point. It was a long driving night.
Lame.
But sometimes it happens. You have to be aware, and it can be stressful. But for the most part, Cracker Barrels are great. Not so many Walmarts are doing it anymore. Cabela's, some Home Depots even allow it.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother, lot surfing could be its own episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I call it boondocking, but basically I guess what I'm doing is essentially lot surfing, because my husband has a regular job that he physically goes to every day. So people are always like, well, why don't you go into the national forest? And I'm like, the amount of gas and miles to put on our van to drive like hours a day, like why would I intentionally give myself an hour-long commute? Like we just find places around the general vicinity and ping pong around.
Okay, so
Harvest Host, the app Harvest Host. Let's get into it. It says here, a membership-based program that allows travelers to camp overnight at wineries, farms, and breweries for free. For free, in quotations, for free.
It ain't free, y'all. It ain't
with
free.
With the expectation of purchasing something. Now,
and a membership. Let's not forget that.
Now, I tried to do a brand deal with Harvest Host at one point, and then they were like, no. And the more I looked into it, Harvest Host has a lot of caveats. So there's an annual membership, and then it's almost kind of like an Airbnb situation where random farms and businesses are like, hey, you can stay here, but you have to purchase their beer or their cheese or whatever it is. And I've had some people complain like, hey, the day we camped there, they weren't open. So I don't know how they expected me to buy their stuff. Like, it was weird. But they also have a lot of stipulations where you have to be fully self-contained. So you need a built-in black and gray water tank. You're not getting amenities a lot of the time. So in theory, it's cute, it's kitschy, I get it. But I would strongly advise Hip Camp over Harvest Host, because you pay whatever the fee is for the night. And I've stayed in yurts, A-frames. I've stayed in really cool places right next to some amazing hiking. And the people were really chill, or they completely left me alone. And for me personally, I don't like the pressure of, oh, you have to buy this thing from us. And it's like, as a van lifer, I don't want to buy, how many jars of honey and craft beer do I need? Okay.
Oh my, that's the thing. Like, if you're drinking a bottle of wine, that's one thing. But like, if you don't drink, or like you only need so much stuff in your van. If you're doing it as a weekend warrior, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Great for people who are more bougie and like are doing this as like a vacation kind of thing. Absolutely great.
Yeah.
And they do it often. Absolutely. And they're winos. Cool. But for people like Kyla and I, like, I don't really drink that much, and I don't have extra space in my van for like this souvenir stuff. And my budget requires me to continually buy things at grocery stores. And once in a while I can afford to eat out, but like, I'm not going to go paying like $30 for some fancy
artisan. And I would love to support local.
No, I would do that. I do like to support local, but when I already have to pay, like, I don't want to go to a place that I have to pay a membership to be obligated to spend money. Fuck that.
It's a weird vibe. And I also just get the vibe from that company through talking to them. It was very bougie. They're not really a fan of like self builds or like working class van life. They're very much catered to the fifth wheel RV Winnebago person that's traveling for fun. So Harvest Host, not really worth it for a easy chill, like, oh, I need somewhere to camp tonight. I strongly recommend Hip Camp. And then if you want actual free spots like iOverlander or The Dirt, you can find free safe places.
Freecampsites.net, there's Campendium, and there's mynomaddirectory.com.
Oh yeah, your friend. Promote your friend.
Yep. That one's really great. mynomaddirectory.com is done by a friend of mine named Tim. He has a bus. He's been in a van. He's been in a vehicle, like smaller vehicle. Like he's he's definitely graduated up through nomadism as well. And he's a great guy. He actually helped me set up my solar. Like he spent like 2 or 3 days over a long time, like helping me set it up. So like he's a solid person, and he's doing this all by himself. So like it's really hard because he doesn't have like a server right now to really build it up much more. But it's a great thing. All you have to do is sign up at the site. It's absolutely free. There's like curated campsites. Like if you don't feel like searching through them all, there's some that are like designated awesome and ready to go, chosen by reviewers that
it's
are
a
part
good
of their community.
resource.
It's a really great resource. They also have classifieds on there for if you want to sell your goods, if you have a service to advertise as a nomad to other nomads, where you are, you can list free things. So you can do like a trade-off with other nomads if they have something you need. Like it really is a really great community board. There's event listings. That's all I'm going to say about that. But go check out mynomaddirectory.com and we'll put that in the caption.
Super
and
cool.
The next thing is, I think we've already talked about dispersed camping, which is very similar to BLM land and off-grid stuff. But then there's overlanding, which is more like long distance. And I feel like overlanding is more I feel like the Jeep and like cab over truck, like the camper over cab.
Yeah,
Truck.
it's Tacomas, it's Forerunners, it's Jeeps, it's people that have those Batwing campers, those pop-up campers on the roof of their vehicle, and they're going deep into the woods.
4-wheel drive.
Yeah, you have to have 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, whatever. And they're going off grid, deep into the woods and really getting lost out there. That's the type of stuff that me and Andrew want to do in the future. Our vehicle's only rear wheel. So that's why part of me really wants the truck, because the vans are a little too clunky for my taste, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Right. Now they have a Ford Transit all-wheel drive, though. It's called the Ford Transit Trail, which is like...
Ooh.
Really want it, but it's super expensive. So
yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's out of my price range. It's a dream van.
Yeah.
Shunpiking I've never heard of. I guess that's like avoiding major highways in favor of scenic back roads. I love that too. But there's definitely a lot of times where, especially out west, like there is no other way to get there. You have to get on the highway out here. There are definitely options in many places that you can just not use the highway. And a lot of people like doing that. It's way more fun. Takes a lot more time. But if you don't have a set time to be at a set destination, I highly suggest that. Back roads are the best.
Yep. We take the Blue Ridge Parkway. Sometimes we'll just take the Blue Ridge Parkway from point A to point B instead of the highway just because it's nice out. I mean, people come to this region just to drive along the Blue Ridge Parkway. It is terrifying. We can do a whole episode on that another day, but it is beautiful but terrifying to drive on. And I feel like unless people have been on the Blue Ridge Parkway, when they recommend that we get like a trailer or get an RV, I'm like, guys, I like to get up there. I like to get up in the mountains, like really scary 2-lane roads that are really just a 1-lane road.
Yes. Yep. There's a few along the coast of California, Northern California, that I think like one of the roads is actually like Cliff Road or something. And I can't imagine I ever drove it, but I did do it. And it's literally like the road's falling apart down the cliff into the ocean. And you're hundreds of feet up and you're just like, this is pretty amazing. But like, I'm holding my breath and I would not do it in a big van like this. I think I did it in a small, like my Xterra. I did it in like a B, so that would be more acceptable. But if somebody's coming, one of us is going to have to go in reverse and not going to be me. So,
there's what is that is it in Colorado, the $1 Million Highway? I've seen video footage. So. I've seen video footage of people with travel trailers on that thing. No. Absolutely no. The answer
we have a road like that goes through in Vermont. It's in the Stowe, Waterbury area where I forget the name of the road, but it goes through the Notch, which is the Smuggler's Notch. It's a ski area, but it's also this really beautiful part of Vermont. And there's a road that goes through the Notch that they close during the winter. And because of the snow, they can't even get a plow up there. So when it opens in the summer, we constantly have this problem. And there's signs on the highway before you get there, before you even take the exit. 18-wheelers, anything towing anything is not allowed. There's a part of this road where there's like this huge boulder and the road turns into a one-way road that's like maybe big enough for a Geo Metro. Like, remember those little turtle cars?
Yeah.
But people can make it. They can make it around. But like, if you're an 18-wheeler, you get to this point and then you have to be towed out
Oh God.
because you can't back up down the mountain.
You're
It's
stuck.
crazy.
You're stuck.
And there's like literally billboards on the highway before you get off the exit for that road, way before, saying the minimum fine is $2,000.
I was gonna say they'll fine you.
Because you go up there, you're ruining it for everyone else. And you're not making your delivery. So
there's a special app that RV and fifth wheel people use. I forget the name of it, because you have to there's certain roads you just can't take. Like there was this I forget the name of this guy, but him and his wife are like super nerded out like RV people, and they were camping in New York City, and he accidentally took a certain road, and they had to like bring the police. He had to back out because it was like a road into New York City where like you cannot take anything through there. So that's cool and fun.
Listen, it happens to the best of us. At 12 years of being a nomad on my end, I still have experiences where I'm like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay for this. And like, listen, what was it like just last year or 2 years ago? I had a meetup at Holtville Hot Springs. I've been to this place how many times? Probably like, I would say at least 10, if not more. And so I bring all these other people that I met on TikTok to go for a meetup out there. And the first night I'm there, I get there early so that everything's perfect. And don't I pull off the dirt road and it turns right into sugar sand.
No.
And I'm stuck over. Oh, yeah. And, you know, all the people that I met up with show up in the morning and I'm like, guys, I'm going to send you my pin, but I'm stuck. So before coffee, we're all trying to dig out this big ass van from the sand.
It happens.
And finally this guy is still wrapped in his towel. It just came from the hot spring in his Jeep.
Oh, he had a winch? Hell yeah.
Winched me out of there. And I'll tell you, like, Jeep people, I will say this real quick. Jeep people have this like reputation of like cringe, whatever. But they are the people that it's always going to be a Jeep that pulls you out, y'all. Don't. They're really, they are good people. They want to help. There are groups on Facebook where that's all they do. They will literally wait for people to help.
Dude, in Florida, we go mudding. In Florida, we go mudding out there. And it's not like four-wheeling like what you guys are thinking. We are in the mud. Our four-wheelers, my buddy, you put a snorkel on it and you put your radiator like on your handles and you literally go underwater with your four-wheeler. So you have all the Jeep meetups, you have all the 4Runners, you have all the Tacomas, right? So they all have winches, and dude, we'll go through there like with you're just friends with everybody. Sorry, there's a fire truck. It's
I can't hear it.
Okay. You're friends with everybody out there immediately because I'm on a 4-wheeler with Andrew. Like my friends Wes and Christy are like whatever with their truck, or she has a Jeep, and then we'll just meet up with all these random people, and if one of us gets stuck, we just winch somebody out, and like it's a really cool experience. I know that a lot of people might turn their nose up at it because of like assumptions of people's like socio-political backgrounds, but when you're out there, it's really a judgment-free zone, and people are
it's
just
a life or death situation too. Like if you can't socialize properly with people and get an attitude with people, like no one's gonna help you. So like
it gets sketchy
have to really
out there.
Respect each other.
You don't want to get in a fight. There's nobody out there. Like you want to be a chill dude out there. You do not want problems out there, but most people aren't looking for problems. It's a fun vibe. People have their kids out there. I have some footage from back in the day on my YouTube channel, maybe. But if I go back to Florida, we're definitely gonna have to do some mudding for all of you guys. But let's wrap it up. This is like this. I'm glad
the last thing we're gonna discuss on this terminology of van life on this list right now is gonna bring us back home to the name of this podcast, the knock. And that is when cops, security, or locals or some Karen or Kevin comes and they give you the knock on the van, man. And I'm gonna hold up this. It's not a fun sound. It's kind of like how PTSD people who have been in prison like hear that door locking sound. Like there's nothing like it. The first time you get it, you get anxiety. It's a whole thing. So like, let's get into it. You want to get into the knock, or should we talk about that in a whole other podcast?
No, let's wrap it up. Bring it on home. This is our second episode. I'm glad we got all of this information out of the way, and I hope that this is helpful for people.
I do too.
So the knock. sucks. First of all, you're sleeping, okay? And your windows should in theory be all covered up. So they can't see you, you can't see them. First of all, who is it? Who is it? Is what you want to know, because sometimes it's not even a cop or security person. It is someone that could rob you or someone
And can you get away with it before you even know who it is? Like, do you answer right away? Do you shut the F up and just stay in your covers? What do you do?
I don't say anything until they're like, this is the police. Like one time I had a cop knock on the door and you could tell he was like kind of nervous because my van is blacked the out. Like my windows you cannot see in. Like they are not street legal. The only way I get away with it is because it's like a camper van, so technically the windows don't have to be see-through. But you can't see in here and it's a big van, so you're like, you know, they don't know who's in there. I don't know what's going on. So this dude knocks on the van. This was back in Florida. We were at a 24-hour boat ramp, right? And he's like, you know, this is the cops. And I'm like, dude. And Andrew's like, should we answer it? I'm like, fuck him. And so then he's like, I'm gonna have to break the window open if you guys don't come out here. Like, you know, basically whatever. So then Andrew gets out all groggy and he's like, I'm sorry guys. Like we got a complaint. You can't park here anymore. Like we know you've been parking here. So then I come out barefooted and I'm like, dude, where do you want us to go? And that footage ended up on the Dr. Phil episode I was on. Yes, I was on Dr. Phil. We can talk about that a different day. But
that's another one too,
but I like he was actually super nice. He was such a chill dude. And he was just like, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing. I see that you leave during the day. Because Andrew's like, we used to live right across the water in that neighborhood. We got priced out. And the cops in St. Peter only making $30K a year. They can't afford to live in you can't afford to live in St. Peter, Florida on $30K.
No.
Girl, no. You need at least $100K to live in Florida.
Unless you're in like Section 8 housing or like some nursing home, but not even that. Yeah, nope. No. Nope.
But so yeah, that's it's stressful. And then in the middle of the night when you have to leave, now you're half asleep. And you have to find somewhere to park at like 3 a.m.
Spot. Yep.
Annoying.
Really annoying. And especially, okay, so this just happened to me the other night. My friend and I were parked at the Cracker Barrel in the Phoenix area. And this is one that we've camped at, I don't know how many hundreds of times. But again, I called first just to make sure because I always do that at Cracker Barrel. Just, it's my rule.
Yeah.
Especially because I was like, hey, meet me at this Cracker Barrel. And she's like, okay, cool. I didn't want to like put her out of a bad situation either. So yes, double check. I called. They said, yes, they allow overnight camping. When we get there, it's a little bit after dark. There's all kinds of vans, RVs, people living in their vehicles. Cool. We're a go. All right. Pack up, black out the windows, get myself ready for bed, sleep through the night, wake up in the morning. And as I walk my dog, we say good morning to my friend. Everything's chill. People are still hanging out. It's a Saturday morning. It's not even 7:30. And I pull out of the parking lot because I have errands to run. And, we say our goodbyes. We're going to meet up later. And I say, I'm going to go 7:30 in the morning. I'm pulling out of the parking spot. And as I'm driving out of the parking lot, this cop just walks up to my van and is like flagging me down. And I'm like, I'm not stopping for you. No. You don't even know if I spent the night here.
No.
I could be a delivery van. Get the fuck out of my face with that bull. Yeah.
No.
And then he gets in front of my van because I'm just like kind of laughing at him like, oh no, honey, I'm not. No, no, you ain't pulling me out of your vehicle. So no, you don't have lights. So he gets in front of my van so I can't move, and he's like, roll down your window. So I roll it down this much, and I'm like, can I help you? He was just a dick,
Yeah,
just throwing his dick around, trying to be a power thing, and like he's like, you can't park here, you people, and all you other people, and I'm
you
like, oh,
people. You people?
You gave yourself away, motherfucker. That's enough. So I said, okay, you've said enough, and I'm already on my way out, but I called last night and we have permission. So nice try, but you have a great day. And at that point, I'm like immediately texting my friend, like, leave now.
Well, there's nothing he can do. He can't trespass you unless the business trespasses you.
But that's what he said he was doing. He said that the owner or the manager decided to just kick everybody out. And I'm like, what if we were going into breakfast? What if I drive a van anyway?
Well,
because I'm on a school trip or something,
boy, oh boy,
and I'm there for breakfast.
I have a story for you, girl. I have a story for you. When we first moved here, I was at a Walmart during the day, went inside to go shopping, came back out, was making a little video about the lipstick I had gotten. The rent-a-cop security cop, it's not Walmart, they hire a third party.
Yep.
He takes photos, is coming up to me, and I'm like, "Can I help you?" And me and this guy got into it. And so he's like, "I'm calling the cops, like I'm trespassing you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I have my receipt." And he's like, "You need to buy your stuff and leave." And I said, "Says who?"
What the?
So then there was already a cop at the front of the store and the security from the store. I got everybody involved. Security said, "We're so sick of this guy. He's causing issues." And I was like, "So it's your store policy after I buy my stuff, how long am I allowed to stay?" And they were like, "There's no rule. Like, he's insane." And then the cop was just annoyed with the security. The cop was so nice to me. The cop was like, the cops here chill because like they got defunded and now they're just like, "I don't care because you people didn't want us to be here, so now we're not going to do anything." So if you do need help, it sucks because they're not going to come or help you, but also they're not going to bother you. So it depends on how you look at it. But he was like, "I don't care that you live in a van." He's like, "That's cool. Like, I want to retire and live in a van. My parents live in a fifth wheel, blah blah." And I was like, "Sir, he's like, "So are you trying to park here overnight?" I was like, "Sir, my husband works at X, Y, and Z. I run errands during the day." He's like, "Oh, so you're leaving?" I was like, I literally have to go pick up my husband. Like, I know that it's weird because we live in a van, but he has a regular job. Like, people have an issue with that. And I was like, "But I've never spent the night here. I literally went shopping and it's during operating hours." Once again, sun is up, not even nighttime. Then I had an issue with that same security guard because there
was Publix too, where you were still eating your sandwich in the van.
That was Wawa. That was Wawa. And we will never, Wawa corporate got involved because I got the guy on video. It went viral on TikTok. Then his security company, I did not condone this. People were making death threats to the security company. And I talked to the lady that worked at the front desk of the security company and she's like, "You're ruining my life." And I was like, "Ma'am, I would never condone that. I never condoned that." But he behaved a certain way and it went viral online because it's the internet era. I was like, "Y'all, I'm so sorry. Like, you shouldn't be scared."
You ask for it when you have someone who behaves that way that represents your company.
I'm saying is you have hired people that are not mentally stable, clearly, and he's the one that put all of you at risk behaving this way. Because he tried to say the same thing. He came up to my van and I was eating my Wawa sub. And if you've ever been to a Wawa, you literally buy your food and eat there. Like, it's a thing. They have bench seats out there to eat. And he's like, "You can't be here." And like, but it's all on TikTok, whatever. I document everything, girl. But it's really, I haven't had issues with actual law enforcement as much as rent-a-cop security people. Couch, if you're listening, how dare you? One of our followers is a security guard.
Cops that were impersonated. I was stopped I was outside of Bakersfield, California by the Kern River Canyon. There's some hot springs up there. And there are pull-offs that you can camp at. I don't know if you can anymore, but you used to be able to. Sometimes they're kind of assholes about it. Sometimes they're lenient. It depends on the day.
Yeah.
It's California. But these pull-offs, you're on the side of a canyon. So you're like, it's a drop. So you pull off on the pull-offs and you just park there and you can't. But I had someone impersonate an officer with like flashing lights and everything.
That's scary.
Vehicle, and he actually stopped me at the pull-off and then gets up and like, he doesn't have a uniform on. And I'm like, who the f are you? Girl. Like, what's your badge number? And he's like, "I don't have to tell you that." And I'm like, "Yes, you do." So I called 911 right away and they were like, "Yep, just keep moving. Like, if you can get away, get away. We have somebody coming up there." And I was like, "Thank God." But like, you hate to be the one who calls the cops. You really do. But sometimes you don't have a choice in van life. Sometimes you don't. If somebody robs your house, you don't. You have to be the person. And like, that's what the cops are there for. So don't let anyone tell you that you're a cop caller. I got a lot on for that too. And like, I was butthurt about it because I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? What if this guy was going to me? Like, nobody really understands the situation.
You could be saving other people. Somebody that's insane.
Exactly.
Somebody that's willing to impersonate a law enforcement officer is clearly not well, and they obviously have
federal
Well, they also have nefarious intent. You're not doing that just for fun. And you also, especially as a female, never be intimidated by law enforcement or security.
Never.
You don't put your window all the way down. I never put my window all the way down. And if something doesn't feel right, if it's a undercover car, always ask for full name, badge number. If they don't give it to you, I'm done talking.
And start recording.
Oh,
Put the phone down and just record. Always record. Yep.
Record.
I don't waste any time. Before I even rolled it, I'm like, oh, and I got caught off guard that time leaving the Cracker Barrel, man. I wish I had recorded it. It happens. Total dig. Yep. But try your best to remember to record it, man. There should be a training for like dealing with cops. Like I feel like public school should teach us that, like how to interact with them.
Why would they want us to do that?
Exactly. But like, like there should be an extracurricular then where, even if it's women owned, like maybe we can start doing something like that where like there is a training for how to deal with answering questions or not answering questions, like what you have rights to, how to respond, and like put us through the tests so that when we're under that pressure, we can handle it when we're ready for it.
I feel like I've gotten good at it because in Florida, the cops, which I've already said last time, the cops are really, really aggressive. They're heavily, heavily backed and funded, and they're very militarized. And they will pull you over for anything. And then once they pull you over, it is literally like you're getting the second degree. They already act like you've committed a murder. And you have to be really careful with these people. I mean, they're very aggressive.
Especially if you're a person of color.
They instigate. The fact that I'm saying this is a white female is sad because imagine a person of color that's male.
Exactly.
They have no problem.
You have a whole nother set of challenges, and I'm so sorry. But if I ever see that shit going down, I'm coming to your rescue. I'm coming.
It's really bad, and that's why you have to have a dash cam in Florida. You have to start recording as soon as the cops pull you over because they will do some shady down there. I'm not joking.
California's like that too. It's very, very corrupt. It's very corrupt. Yeah. I've seen
well, it's so close. It's close to Mexico too. So I wonder if there's like cartel affiliation within law enforcement.
So it's all enwrapped in each other.
Allegedly.
I've seen cops in California, Riverside smoking meth.
Yeah,
in their full uniform, in their cruiser.
People get paid off. Here's what's crazy to me about law enforcement. I know this is going to be very confusing, and we'll wrap this up. But I understand why people want to defund them, but that's not going to solve anything. It clearly isn't working. But if they were actually paid a good living wage, they would be harder to pay off and buy. Okay, and then you'd have less crooked cops.
Right. And here's the thing: they don't want to educate them more. I think there's actually something you can Google this, there's something about cops only have they're tested for a certain amount of IQ, and they will only hire you or put you into the police academy once they've tested that IQ and make sure it's under a certain amount, because they really want the mentality of kind of do your job, do your job, be kind of a bully. They want this certain kind of mentality. And I think more intelligent people and tend to sympathize and empathize with people, and they don't want that in their typical police officer. Yeah. I know that sounds like, probably not truth to a lot of people, and I'm sure I'm going to get arguments in the comments about this, and that's fine. But do your research before you argue it, because
they're meant to protect people that have assets and skin in the game.
Exactly.
We are not those people.
It's not really protect and serve. It's protect businesses and serve papers.
And I do feel like there is a shift with law enforcement, and there are people, there's good and bad people in every realm. There's good people that identify as dirty kids. There's good people in the van life community. There's good people that are law enforcement officers. And then there's people that aren't good. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna end it here because I have to pee, and I don't know why there's a parade of vehicles going past this parking lot. I don't know why. I don't know if it's for the school near here. I don't know if the road is closed down, but there's literally if I could show you, there's so many cars just driving right past me like it's a parade right now. I don't know what's happening.
All right, well, go figure that out. This has been an excellent episode, and stay tuned for the next one, which I think we're going to do van life etiquette.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
All right.
Don't get bamboozled, and
don't get the knock.
Don't get the knock.